All right, East Front is Hexy. Let's talk about Case Blue, Fall Blau. We're going to take on the scenario of the 1st Panzer Army in their initial thrust. And they were looking for crossings over the Donets, okay? And we're going to be using the Fall Blau box from Compass Games. I think this is Greg Blanchett. Yeah, look up all this stuff. I think that's who it was. Anyhow, here's our initial setup. Now you have a little leniency with the German armor. They just needed to be set with some infantry units, okay? So I did a little research on this because I wanted to understand this before I got in this. So your objectives are obviously to destroy Russian units, but also to move and establish, translating the victory conditions, establish sort of supply heads in these two locations, or one, at least whatever you can get at it. But those are the two. Those would be what I call the objectives. So I started doing a little digging, and Case Blue or Fall Blau was conducted. It was set up to be conducted in 3 phases. One, the Donets. Hell, I can't remember what 2 is. And then 3 obviously was over towards Stalingrad or Volgograd, as they call it today. Well, when you're looking at these maps, you've got to do, and looking at today's maps online with Google, you got to do a little research to find out what names were different back then as to what they are now. For example, Luhansk. I think it's Stalino here. Was called Luhansk. It's called Luhansk today, okay? Slavyansk existed. Kramatorsk, I guess, was the same. There's another one in here that's a little different. Starbelsk, and I know I'm saying all these wrong. Vorshilovgrad, I think it was slightly different. I don't know. I was looking at all that stuff earlier. Anyhow, so I've marked those 2. All right, so the initial operation for 1st Panzer Army was to drive across through, which we're not seeing it right here, where Lysychansk is. Lysychansk, okay, which I think is spelt slightly different today too. Get that bridgehead across the Donets, and then drive to Starobelsk, where I think they got it wrong in some of the stuff I was reading, but their right flank or left flank would meet up with the right flank of 4th Panzer Army, which I think they had a little bit. So their left flank would link up with the left flank of 4th Panzer Army, which is operating up here somewhere. And then they were assuming that by this time, 6th Army, Paulus, would have already been. They would also be linking and connecting with the 5th Panzer Army, which is, I guess, was floating in this direction here. Okay. But apparently, 6th. Now, by the way, they didn't attempt to cross the river till the night. They got to cross the river. This is the scenario from the 7th of July to the 12th of July. 1st Panzer Army didn't even attempt to cross the river till the 9th of July. Okay, this is only 2 turns, so 5, 6 total days, 3 and 3. So yeah, okay. So the first turn we needed to cross the Donets, and then we need to take the objectives there, right? Which you're thinking 2 turns. Oh my God, how the hell am I going to do that? All right. So this is, this system, you can tell by the looks of the A's and stuff like that this is similar to the victory in the West. All right, so anyhow, on the 9th or the 10th, 6th Army was being so successful that the Russians were just fleeing in front of them that the plan for 1st Panzer Army to go to Starbelsk became unnecessary. So they changed their plans to drive across at Lysychansk and drive straight to Milarova, which you can't see. All right. Was to just drive straight east from their kickoff point across the Donets and then straight to Milarova, okay? And they would link again with, and you're not going to see it on this map, but there is a crossing up on the river here, that river up yonder, a little north of that. They would link up with another town in this area here. Their left again would be with the 4th Panzer Army's right, and then down here through Kamenshatinsky. Shatinsky or something like that. Anyhow, and then so once all that was done, there would be an encirclement at Milarova, and then I'm assuming the Case blue part 3 would begin, which would be headed towards Stalingrad, which is going to be that way at the end of this map. So from the 7th to the 12th. All right. So now, since I have 2 objectives, obviously I would assume that this would be part of if I decided just to drive to Milarova, but I don't see how that was even part of their objective. Maybe 17th Army, which is sitting right in here, okay? So I'm thinking that I need to get that river crossing right there with the Germans as fast as I can, and then go ahead and take that objective right there. Just go ahead and clear that up, get the points. I think it's like 5 points or something like that. If I fail to get these things, they're going to lose points, okay? Plus, I don't want to take losses. I don't want to lose any elements in any of the Panzer divisions, okay, which there's 4 of them sitting in here. Then you got a Stug unit sitting down here helping out. I don't know if that's the Italians, I guess. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus my objective on Starbelsk. If I should get fortunate enough the 17th Army can cross over in here and get on that, then okay, great, more power to it. Or should 14th Panzer be able to blow up through here and have enough time to turn and come down here and help, so be it, we'll do that. But I think I'm going to focus on Lysychansk, get the river crossing, drive on Starbelsk, and take that objective. We'll make that the primary. Secondary will be Voroshilograd, okay? Now here's the cool thing. Not that it applies to this scenario, but it was the very day after this scenario ends, the 13th of July, when Hitler tells Bach, well, let's just put it this way. Bach got relieved. Now, here is what I believe caused that. Let me go to, okay, so we got on screen. Sorry for the light. Let me back the light up. Maybe that'll help. See if I cover this right. Some of you knowledge-based folks out there can validate this for me. All right, so let's get that out of the way a little bit. Okay, so Bach was told, I'm sorry, is it the 23rd, 21st Panzer and the Grossdeutschland or whatever, to turn south. Because Rostov is right down here. If you look at the map, he wanted to cut off any troops before they could get out of Rostov down here. Okay, I guess. Circle them, cut them off, take Rostov. They kind of need to take Rostov anyhow, which I'm pretty sure they were going to. But Bach was on the battlefield. Halder and Hitler and the OKH or whatever the generals, they weren't, okay? Bach knew, and we don't see all the roads and trails, but we see, I guess, what they did for this map. But from what I read, Bach saw that there were a lot of troops streaming southeast, east, and he said a majority of them were streaming south. He knew that if he would move to Morshovsk up here, he could cut off and encircle a boatload of Russian troops. Well, Halder and Kleist, I guess, and I think it was Kleist, was 1st Panzer Army. Anyhow, that wasn't Kleist. So Halder and Hitler said, no, you're scrambled in the head, and he was instructed to report as sick and turn his army group over to, I don't remember the general's name, but he was to turn his army group over, and then he knew that was it for him. But he saw that opportunity. Hitler and them did not like it because they wanted this focus down here, I guess, on Rostov. Although, and of course, Hitler wanted troops encircled. He wanted it was all about it. Let's decimate the Russian army. And they just didn't see it on the battlefield. So this is on the 13th of July is when you get Bach relieved. All right, so I'm gonna do a little rules refresher on this. It's been a couple years since I opened this box up, but we're gonna play. This shouldn't take long. The rule set's not real heavy, and we're gonna get after this scenario here. So we're gonna go. Like I said, we're gonna make the priority across the river here at Lysychansk, and then on up to Starbelsk as the priority. And if this can happen, it'll happen as a secondary. See, I marked my red priority and my white marked my objective locations. And I got to kill some Soviets, and the Soviets need to delay. All right, Compass Games, Fall Blau, Army Group South, June to December 1942. We're doing the 1st Panzer Army scenario. I'll let you know how it goes.